Alrighty, so I have been using a prep center on a part-time basis for a couple months now, and I wanted to give you guys an update. And I wrote some things down, and I have 5 different things I want to share with you that you may not realize for someone that hasn't used a prep center before. So if you're on the cusp, or if it's just something in the back of your head, I think this is going to be valuable. And at the end of this, I'll also just share with you my overall take on what I think about prep centers now that I've been using one. And I should mention, I use one in Florida where not everything is tax free. Grocery, vitamins and supplements, as well as some other stores that I have a sales tax certificate for in there. And that's all that I use them for. And for me, that was good enough because I wasn't ready to go 100% all in on a prep center, especially because I started right before Q4. I wasn't going to put all my eggs in that basket. So they're probably doing, I don't know, 10, 15% of my inventory. Nothing too drastic at this point in time. But as the new year comes and Q4 passes, I'll probably look for an additional prep center in a tax-free state. So that in itself, I think, is a good message, is that don't just go all in on a prep center. Like any relationship, like any business, test the waters, see if you like it or not. Don't give them all of your business right away, because if it all doesn't go well to your liking, you're in a tough spot. All right, so let's get started. First up, this shouldn't be a surprise, but anything that is new, there is a learning curve. It's not just a matter of, oh, I'm signed up on a prep center, I'm going to send them my stuff, and that's it. There's onboarding, there's getting used to their softwares. The prep center I use, we do a Google Sheet that I have to send them a certain amount of information for all of the products I send into them. Just doing things their way. Everyone has systems and processes in place, and it does take a little bit of time to feel comfortable with it all. So just know you don't just hit the ground running from day one. That being said, that's pretty much the standard for anything in life, right? Number two, I think it's a little more time consuming than what people may realize. Even though you're doing it to save time, it does save time in the big picture. But some things that you may not think about when you're going through and making purchases, every single time, at least for me, I have to fill out my Google Sheet. I have to fill out what product it is. I have to send the link to the Amazon site, notes, like if it's a bundle, what I paid for it, what the list price is, what the vendor is, etc. So, not that it's so much stuff I wouldn't do for my own sake, but it really, you have to do it, and you have to do it in a timely manner. Honestly, big picture, it's probably a blessing in disguise because now you have all this information, but it does take a little bit of time. Another thing, it's on you to make sure that these products get received, right? These warehouses and these prep centers are receiving, tens, hundreds, thousands of boxes every day. It's not crazy to think some things fall through the cracks. So you have to now monitor that maybe a little bit more closely than if you used to just send some stuff to your house, or if you did retail arbitrage, obviously you bought everything at once. Um, you have to stay on top of how much of your inventory is there. For my place, I can't send out a package unless there's 100 items. So every day I'm checking, takes a little bit of time. Then I have to request a shipment. Then I have to pay for the shipment, and then they send it out, type of thing. So just know that there's a little bit more Big Brother-esque vibe involved. You have to kind of watch over it. You have to provide them stuff. It does take a little bit of time management. All right. The next thing, nobody is going to treat your business the way that you treat your business. And what I mean by that is these people are servicing, again, 10, hundreds, thousands of customers. Okay. They don't care that you just sent in an out of stock item and it needs to be shipped out immediately in order to be able to charge a premium and what you want for it, right? These people have systems and processes in place. No, but they're not losing money if something doesn't show up. You are. They're not losing anything except for the products that are delivered and that they pack for you. Okay. They have systems. They don't get things out as quickly as you want to if you need to. Like Q4 was just here. I think if there's ever a time to not use a prep center, it's probably Q4, because they're not going to speed up. They're actually going to slow down that time of year. I don't blame them, but just another example that no one's going to treat your business the way that you do, and you have to keep that in mind. All right. Number 4 is that sometimes it makes sense to still send things to your house, even if you have to pay sales tax on it. So I have an example in front of me that was a real life example. I had a large order dollar wise, and I bought a lot of things that were probably in the $10, $15 range because I got them at really good prices. So let's go over the numbers. So if I spent $2,000 at 7% sales tax, that would be about $140 I pay in sales tax. Okay. Now, contrarily, if I didn't pay sales tax, and let's say there was 150 items and I pay $1.40 per item to be prepped, that would be $210 in prep. Okay. So $70 more even without sales tax. So now I look at it, if I have to prep and pack those items myself, let's say it takes me an hour, right? Is it worth paying myself $70 an hour or saving $70 and putting in that hour of prep time? For me, it's a no brainer. I'm happy to prep for $70 an hour, especially when it's my own business. That doesn't happen all the time, but when it comes to lower ticketed items and you buy a lot of them, it's absolutely something to consider. So just so you know, if you have a prep center, for some people, if they do it for non-monetary reasons, I can understand sending everything to a prep center, just because you hate doing it, you live in a small place, whatever, I get it. But just know I've never been completely hands off with prepping anyway. So for me, $70 for a couple, 150 small products, happy to do it. And so I did. And so that's something I don't think a lot of people consider. The last thing I'll say is that I don't want to slander prep centers. I don't want to seem like I've had a bad situation. But in my head, at least, the fact of the matter is, the more hands that touch my product, the more places that my product has to go to, it would be naive of me to think that things don't fall through the cracks. Mismanagement, misplacement, broken items, things didn't get delivered. And the more and more hands that it touches, as I mentioned, more and more things are going to fall through the cracks. To mentally, I think about it. I'm like, you know what? I probably have to do 5 or 10% more in sales or a little bit more in sales just to offset using a prep center. Okay. Or what I'm going to miss out on because time is of the essence with a lot of these items and I might not be able to charge a premium. The fact of the matter is, when you're using a prep center, you just are going to give up some things. You're going to give up on being able to see and touch every single product, and you have to be okay with that. There's prep centers where things get mismanaged, taken, lost, stolen, the same way that with anybody. I'm not, again, not here to slander any prep centers. I just think it's naive to think that things can't happen. And I'm an optimist, but I'm also a realist. The more hands, the more misplacement, things get lost, et cetera, et cetera. And so once again, you have to be willing and comfortable with giving up some things in order for others. So if you get your time back, it might mean you just have to source a little more to make up for any of these imperfections. So those are a couple examples I have. Let me kind of share with you a summary of where I'm at on prep centers as a whole. Right now, I have yet to meet a seller, and I speak to a lot of them, that just gushes about a prep center, that just loves it with all of their heart and soul, right? But it is a necessary evil if you want to scale, in my opinion, or somehow, some way have other people helping you prep and pack. Okay. For me, I've also started using my mom. She lives in Florida as well. And it's great because it's direct and frank, open conversation. She's good. She knows when something has to be urgent for me because I can communicate that. And I'm her only client. Couple extra bucks for mom. I have peace of mind. Everybody's winning here, right? So if you have that opportunity, I would say that is great. As far as the prep center itself goes, it's been fine. Like I mentioned, though, it takes some time. Sometimes, um, because I have to get to a quota, I find myself buying things with less profit margin than I normally would, just so that I get more items quicker to them so that they can send out my shipment. So that's something to consider. I think the biggest thing is you just have to be willing to let go of some of the control. You have to be willing to accept things aren't going to be turned out as fast, which for 9 months of the year, it's probably not such a big deal. And like anything, no one's going to treat it the way that you do. For me, moving forward, I do want to continue with prep centers. I want to diversify and have two, one in a different state, use the one I have in Florida. I would strongly advise, if you don't get with one that does a Zoom call, pictures of the facility, came by referral, you really got to vet them. Like anything, you should never just trust somebody with your business and start shipping things to them blindly. And yes, I do understand that prepping and packing is a low value task. Everybody wants to work smart, but first you have to work hard. I would strongly advise that if you're new to this, you at least do it for a while so you understand prepping and packing and so things make sense to you. And there's always going to be opportunity where it makes more sense for some things to be sent to your house, whether it be because of time, whether it be because they're bundles. And if someone charges you per item instead of like treating a bundle, a three pack as one unit. They charge you for three of them. It can completely diminish the profit. So there's not a one size fits all. Every prep center is a little different. For the nature of online arbitrage, if you do want to scale, I think it's necessary. And to give you some context, I started using one when I did about $50,000 a month in sales. Prior to that, I was very capable of doing it. I also have slightly different views. If you're prepping and packing and you're watching educational YouTube videos and you don't hate it and you don't have more money to spend also, I don't think it's horrible to prep and pack. I really don't. It's better than watching Netflix. You're basically paying yourself for that task while you're educating yourself on YouTube or whatever it is. So I don't think anything's wrong with that either. So never a one size fits all, but that's been my experience. Overall good. Like anything comes with some negative, but I am going to continue to use prep centers as we go into 2023. And that's just my update for now. I appreciate you guys being here. I'm Jonathan, Duke Does Amazon. We're on Instagram and Spotify as well. Duke Does Amazon, Duke Does Amazon podcast. Below, I have some discount links for some softwares I use, which I just recently acquired, all of which I vouch for. By the way, the coupons I recently acquired, I've been using these softwares for a while. Talk to you guys soon. Have a great day. Take care.